welcome to the episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend. I know I missed y'all. Hope you guys, watched some WWE, NXT. Definitely waiting and anticipatingly waiting for you guys' your response during the chat once when we go through that breakdown and the analysis of NXT breakdown. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today on tap. We're going to have our WWE Smackdown review. We have our WWE Monday Night RAW sneak peek. And then we're going to talk about some WWE NXT deadline. We're going to get into some NXT call-ups once when WWE has announced that we are having a transfer portal, obviously kind of relating toward the college football thing. Not a huge college football fan. Not that I'm against it. Maybe I'm just so entwined in what the NFL is doing that I can't really get into college football, because for me it's like watching minor league baseball. But it's crazy. Obviously that's apples to oranges. Obviously it's not the same thing. But I don't know. For me, I can't really get into college football. But I'm trying. Our brother's trying over here. And then our fifth and final segment, Fenix, from AEW, deeply upset, talking about inhumane treatment. It all looks bad, all this negative publicity for AEW. Also, it could negatively affect the way, wrestling promotions start to ink some contract, thinking that maybe they might double guess in signing the Lucha Brothers. Obviously Penta, his brother, Rey Fenix, taking to social media. Sometimes, nowadays, everything's on social media. It's not much of a surprise, that people voice their frustrations. You've seen it happen in the NFL all the time. In the NBA, you've seen athletes like Debo Samuel, Kyler Murray, even LeBron James, even, Damian Lillard. You've seen, Giannis Antetokounmpo. You've seen, Kevin Durant take to social media and totally just, kind of trash their contract, or the person, not the person, because that sounds weird, the team or the organization that you're necessarily signed to. And in this case, Rey Fenix is still contractual obligated to not speak bad about AEW. So we're going to get into that in our fifth and final segment. But before we go ahead and jump on into this Shark Tank, we're going to go ahead and talk about this super chat right here. Whether for your burning question or hot take in terms of the world of professional wrestling, or just something you've been dying to get off your chest here at the GSMC Sports Network, we want you guys to feel like we are all ears 1,010%. We want to hear what you guys... I am dying to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear what you guys have to say in terms of WWE Smackdown. I want to know what you guys have to say about WWE Monday Night Raw, NXT, Rey Fenix, NXT call-ups, potentials. I want you guys to find, I want you guys to feel some, comfortability talking in this podcast. Because mostly, if you're not having fun watching this podcast, then I can't have fun doing this podcast because, 9 times out of 10, I wake up every morning, I'm like, you know what? God, I can't wait to get online. I love, the interconnectivity between professional wrestling fans, because we are absolutely one of a kind, and you guys all know it. Every single time you meet another wrestling fan, it's crazy. There's an immediate bond that you have when you meet another professional wrestling fan. The story that I keep, that I kind of reiterate and talk about on this podcast is one time I went to, and I'll keep this brief. I went to Disney World. And Disneyland. Sorry, not Disney World, because we're in California. I'm in California. I'm in Southern California. And, it was so hot. It was crazy. It was it was in July, about 103 degrees in Anaheim, where there's at least a decent ocean breeze. And then all of the kids are riding the teacups, and I'm like, I'm going to sit this one out. I'm going to get some water. I stood in line for 20 minutes to get 2 bottles of water that cost $50. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't $50. It was more like 25. So then I bought 2 bottles of water, and my 2 kids were, they were hanging out, and my wife was on the ride with them. And, I see somebody in line, and I was like, okay, okay, because I could, he kept giving me that side eye. And I was like, dude, like, what am I doing wrong? And then I was wearing my Seth Rollins shirt. Freaking Rollins shirt. And then I see him to start to approach me from the corner of my eye. I'm like, Eric, play cool. He's just gonna walk behind me. Who knows? The homie wants some cotton candy or something. And then he stops right in front of me, and I was like, oh god, here we go. And then he was like, you know what, man, I love your shirt, dude. Seth freaking Rollins. And then we got into like a 30-minute, an hour talk about Seth Rollins and why he betrayed the Shield and why that was great for Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. And we just got it. Oh, it was so awesome. And especially with the Disneyland rides where every wait time is like 30 minutes. Even for the gosh darn teacups, it's crazy. So, something about, wrestling fans coming together, and that's something that I want this podcast to kind of seem like. And if you want to make sure that your comment, question, or concern gets noticed, why not hit that $sign right next to that chat box? Anything you guys put inside that little box right there is going to be guaranteed to be featured on the show, talked about, maybe even debated about if it's that juicy in terms of the professional wrestling. Your super chats obviously helps us keep the lights on all these amazing podcasts with these passionate podcasters who have one goal in mind, to make sure that you guys consume all the sports content that you guys love so gosh darn much. We just want to make you guys happy. We're super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. So, we can't do it without you, so go ahead and hit up that super chat, hit up those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome, and together we'll make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, if the super chat not your thing, it's all good in the neighborhood. Make sure you guys hit up that tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch out, like a subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But of course, in terms of talking sports, it's inevitable. It absolutely is inevitable. We can't agree all the time. There's going to be some criticisms, and it's all good. It's all under the bridge already. It's all good in the neighborhood. Don't worry about it. Just send all your thoughts, your opinions, hot takes inside that chat box. Give me a shout out of where you're listening from, or just give me your top 5 wrestlers that, with the men and the women's division. Let's have some fun with it. All right, so we're going to talk about our first segment. We got some WWE Smackdown review. So obviously this was a follow-on episode of Smackdown from WWE Survivor Series. We found out that, and I had no idea that he was injured. Tonga Loa has a torn bicep. He's going to miss a lot of time. Obviously, you saw Cody Rhodes with that torn pectoral. When he came back and he fought Seth Rollins, it looked absolutely gruesome. It was all pink. It was all nasty. It was absolutely, it was crazy. So what does this mean for the Bloodline storyline? Obviously, now you have Tama Tonga. You have Tama Tonga all alone right now. He doesn't have a tag team partner. Him and Tonga Loa are kind of like, two peas in a pod. They were representing the tag team division, and now you don't have that. Does Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, we've seen them become tag team champions once before, because Tonga Loa was injured, and now he's injured again, obviously, after a hellacious WWE Survivor Series War Games against the original Bloodline with the aid of CM Punk. It's, does this necessarily mean that we're going to see anybody sign, faster? Like, when I say anybody, I mean like Lanson. Oh, yeah, obviously with Zelina Vega. Obviously, maybe, Hikuleo. He is on the WWE NXT roster. Maybe we find, Solo Sikoa maybe outnumbered. But then again, Jimmy Uso's also taken out. Also Bronson Reed out with foot. He broke his foot. It was it was crazy. If you go back and look at the, the replay, if you go back and look at that jump, literally whenever you see somebody jump from the top of the cage, landing onto an opponent, you've seen this with, Edge, Adam Copeland in steel cage with, a Malachi Black, for AEW. Then he landed on, he tore his, it was terrible. He broke his leg, and it was just absolutely awful. So now we have, Tonga Loa added to the list of injured superstars after the War Games match. Cody Rhodes, he came out, he before we started getting into the teeth of what's going to happen at WWE Saturday Night's main event, you saw a pissed off Chad Gable coming out with American Made. That's when they mentioned this whole transfer portal. Obviously, like I said, kind of accommodating to college football and stuff like that, which is cool and all. But anyways, Raw, NXT, SmackDown are all coming together to swap superstars. And, it's going to be some big changes. There's some superstars on Netflix that on NXT that I'm like, man, they would benefit on Netflix. There's some stars on Raw that I'm like, damn, they benefit on SmackDown. There's some superstars on SmackDown and Raw that would benefit at NXT. So this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. It's something that WWE needed to do. Maybe, I thought they were going to go out and go ahead and do like an all-out new draft, which is still, possible, which is still pretty much possible. But right now you have Netflix, you have SmackDown, and then you have NXT. Kind of, what can we do to draw more viewers? Because Raw and SmackDown are both moving 2-3 hours. So some of those Netflix stars that aren't getting a lot of love or television time on the CW can come over to the USA Network, can come over to Netflix and be a part. There's an extra hour. How are you going to fill in an extra hour? Obviously, there's advertisers and stuff like that. But, most of the time when Monday Night Raw was on the USA Network, and I don't think we're going to get, out of the ordinary, like, commercials. I don't think we're going to get any of that on Netflix. I think it's going to be relatively the same. So we're going to get a lot of time where you can showcase all this talent. Because right now, if you're looking at it, Monday Night Raw, ever since they moved to 2 hours, although it hasn't really seemed like a lot of talent hasn't really suffered, I see a lot of storylines that could potentially can potentially break through. There was the New Day breakup with Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston and Big E. They were talking about this New Day celebration they were talking about it for a good solid month before it actually happened. So obviously that's a conclusion. That's something that comes out of WWE being like, okay, we're going to scale it back down to 2 hours. So we're going to get a lot of that. Obviously, you've seen the Wyatt Sicks. Not a lot of time spent on Monday Night Raw. So you're going to get into, you're probably going to get them to, probably start developing some storylines with all the members. It should be pretty crazy. Once again, you kind of had, you saw Chad Gable bringing up, how Kevin Owens is being a loyal friend, and you left, KO out to dry. Jesse Ventura was live. He was there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's going to be part of the broadcast team for Saturday night's main event. We had a WWE Women's United States Championship triple threat, the last qualifier for those final four. We had Tiffany Stratton defeat Elektra Lopez and Naomi. Candice LeRae obviously paying dividends and getting Naomi out of, kind of out of her funk a little bit there. Byron Saxton reports that the Street Profits were attacked. Obviously, at the end of the show, we kind of knew what happened. You saw Johnny Gargano talking to Nick Aldis, solving the problem, being like, hey, why not we put DIY to fulfill the seats and take on Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns, for the WWE Tag Team titles. Obviously, later in the show, you would find out, why that happened, perhaps. Bianca Belair, in a hellacious battle, defeats Piper Niven. Ribs taped up and all. This girl is tough as hell. She was able to defeat Piper Niven. Shinsuke Nakamura had a nice little promo. LA Knight came out to confront Shinsuke. Andrade then came out, and then out of nowhere, a pissed off Bloodline came out to attack LA Knight. Andrade obviously kind of rubbed out Shinsuke Nakamura, the WWE United States Champion. Kind of stepped away. He was like, you know what, you guys have some unfinished business. You guys do what you guys have to do. Solo Sikoa was still pretty adamant on proving that he is still the tribal chief, telling Minneapolis, Minnesota to acknowledge me. So, obviously, the Bloodline, he was inviting new challengers. Like, look, if you think you can take this off my back, go ahead and come fight me for it. There was no Roman Reigns. There was no Roman Reigns on WWE Smackdown. I might have missed it, but I didn't see Zayn, Uso, or anybody. I didn't really see anybody like that. So, building up toward, Saturday night's main event, maybe we should, maybe we will get a tag team match between Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga taking on No, they're gonna team up. It's gonna be 3-on-3. It's gonna be 3-on-3. I think that would be pretty ideal there. Kind of running Crown Jewel back a little bit. All right, so we got DIY defeating the Motor City Machine Guns for the WWE Tag Team titles. DIY turns heel, and I gotta be honest. At first, I didn't like it, but after kind of sitting back on it for a little bit, I kind of understand why they did what they had to do. Right now, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, they have really no business being babyface right now, and it sucks. It's terrible because they were kind of cool as like a DIY. But then again, I don't even want to say that they're not heel. I don't want to say that they're not a babyface. I just right now they're like, you know what? We're gonna go out there and do what we have to do to win the tag team titles, and it was kind of nice to see. It was kind of nice to see. You had Johnny Gargano turn to Tommaso Ciampa. He was like, well, that's all it took. Like, you know what I mean? And it was just it was classic. It was actually pretty cool. I didn't mind it. We saw Michael Cole interview with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens still feels like he's right. Carmelo Hayes, talking to Nick Aldis, kind of hinting that maybe he might go to Raw, or maybe an up-and-coming star from NXT debuting on SmackDown will take him on. Maybe it's Trick Williams. Who knows? Cody Rhodes defeats Chad Gable at the end of the show, and then you saw Kevin Owens attacking, and then all hell breaks loose. So WWE Smackdown wasn't bad. It was actually pretty cool. Make sure you guys rewatch that. All right, guys, so you do not go anywhere. We got WWE Monday Night RAW talk. We're going to sneak peek it. Obviously, it's already debuted. Where it's already aired on the East Coast. I have not checked a single shred of social media. No TikTok, no Facebook, no none of that for any content or updates. So I'm going in there blind. We're going to talk about some of the sneak peeks when we come back. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds. So hey, do not go absolutely anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows with 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring. We talk about backstage curtain calls, rumor, dramas, and updates. We talk about inactive statuses, injury updates. We talk about superstar contract extensions, negotiations. We talk about new signings, and we also talk about promotion from AEW to WWE, TNA, the GCW, the NWA. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1010%. All right, just going to reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Smackdown, WWE Smackdown review. I'm sorry, I'm tripping. And now we have our WWE Monday Night Raw sneak peek. Like I said, I have not checked a single shred of social media. No TikTok, no Instagram, no Facebook, none of that. I'm going in absolutely blind. And I can't wait to watch it when I get done with this podcast. Before we dive on deeper into this, into the show, I just want to make sure you guys hit up that super chat right there. What if you got a burning question or hot take in terms of the world of professional wrestling? We are all ears here at the GSMC Sports Network, or just something you've been dying to get off your chest. We want to hear it. This show is all about keeping the conversation going, making sure you guys feel like your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy to send in those thoughts. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat Basically it guarantees anything you guys put inside that little box right there. Click that $sign. It's going to be featured, talked about, and maybe even debated about if it's that juicy on the show 1,010%. We are obviously, your super chat keeps the lights on these amazing podcasts and with these amazing podcasters with one goal in mind, who want to make sure you guys are fully satisfied in the sports content that you guys consume and that you love so gosh darn much. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome, and together we will make sure this podcast is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, if the super chat not your thing, it's all good. Go ahead and hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Just remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. But in terms of talking sports, it's inevitable. We're going to get some criticisms and disagreements. It's all good. It's all gravy. It's all water under the bridge already. Feedback is a gift. We just want to make sure you guys feel like, you're absolutely comfortable to feel like you can talk about absolutely anything. All right, we got some WWE Monday Night Raw talk. We are live at the Entrust Bank Arena in Wichita, Kansas. We have the WWE World Tag Team Champions Finn Balor and JD McDonough of the Judgment Day taking on a team that is to be determined, TBD, to be announced. Is this a team that comes from the Superstar Shakeup? Is this a team on SmackDown that comes to Monday Night Raw to win the titles? Is this a team from NXT to come to Monday Night Raw and perhaps, shake things up? I have two picks. Obviously, like I said, I have not checked anything. I am completely going in blind. I got to give the War Raiders another chance. I got to give them a chance to run it back, and then maybe perhaps the Street Profits. Well, on SmackDown with DIY winning, and then, they're obviously the main culprit for who attacked the Street Profits. It's got to be Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. So maybe that might kind of fall through to it. But maybe it could be anybody. It could be anybody. It could be somebody from, NXT. Ava, Adam Pearce, and Nick Aldis wants to make it imminent that they're going to, WWE is going to go through a lot of changes, a lot of rosters, a lot of roster moves. So are we going to see maybe like a Nathan Frazier or an Axiom? That would be pretty badass. That'd be pretty awesome. All I know is, I don't think Finn Balor is going to beat Gunther at WWE Saturday Night's main event to dethrone him as the World Heavyweight Champion. So you kind of have to keep the belt on Judgment Day, and it sucks. I hate it because I feel like Finn Balor, he deserves better. He's going to get a singles push. He deserved a singles push like freaking yesterday, but he is holding up that Judgment Day faction. Without Finn, JD McDonough, he's lost. Without Finn Balor, Carlito, he's lost. Without Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio is lost. Like, of course he has, Liv Morgan, but with him and Liv Morgan, it's not that same vibe. It's not that same, it's not that same feel that you had with Mami, with Rhea Ripley, being with Dominic Mysterio. Obviously, ever since Raquel Rodriguez came into the fray and kind of ultimately maybe even, kind of replaced Dominic Mysterio as Liv Morgan's right-hand woman, it's going to get to the point where I think Liv is going to, maybe she might drop Dom. Maybe perhaps it could possibly be that way. But I just don't see how Dominic Mysterio stands on his 2 feet on Monday Night Raw without Finn Balor. And that could, I can say the same thing for, like I said, for the names previously mentioned, JD McDonough and Carlito. So I know, you're not going to see the tag team titles go anywhere. In that case, I'm like, maybe they might throw some BS like tag team and be like, oh, let's just have them, fight. Maybe you might, in that case, it might seem necessary for like an NXT team. Like maybe like OTM, you know what I mean? To kind of come in there, just kind of be that, that punching bag and kind of be those squash matches and stuff like that. But, or maybe they win, OTM with Jada Parker, they come to WWE Monday Night Raw and they wreak havoc and it's pretty badass. But as of right now, it doesn't really seem like that's the thing. We got a WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship first round match. We got Lyra Valkyria taking on Zelina Vega, taking on Ivy Nile. At this point, I really don't see why Ivy Nile will pick up the victory, which is kind of sad because not that I don't think that she's great. We already have Dakota Kai. We got Dakota Kai in the final four already. She already qualified. Who else is on the bout? Because I'm thinking about it. There could be, you could possibly have a heel in there. Like, you have two baby faces, Valkyria and Vega, and then you have Ivy Nile. So, maybe you could possibly see Ivy Nile steal one. Maybe I'm at 45% Ivy Nile, 10% Zelina Vega, and, the 55% Lyra Valkyria. I feel like, she had a huge step up since she debuted onto the main roster, since she got drafted in April of 2024 by WWE Monday Night RAW. She was a finalist for the Queen of the Ring, and she was in the Women's Money to Make match, and she's been phenomenal. She's been absolutely stellar. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were like, you know what? Lyra Valkyria would be absolutely phenomenal within these final four women, which is the right way to go. Rhea Ripley takes on Raquel Rodriguez, the Wyatt Sicks, taking on the Final Testament with The Miz. I hope that match is actually pretty badass. For me, I'm a selfish wrestling fan. I wanted to see that match at WWE Survivor Series inside War Games. Obviously, I did not get my wish, but it's okay because this match should be pretty badass. Seth Rollins is set to, he's going to speak. He's going to talk about why why he's starting to not really go rogue, not even go heel. But you kind of have Seth Rollins in that predicament, in that storyline, like you see Kevin Owens on WWE Smackdown, like that. Why are you helping Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns, he did this, he did that, he did, And to be honest, there's some part of the WWE Universe and part of the wrestling fandom that kind of they are totally on Kevin Owens's they're on his back. They're also on Seth Rollins' back as well. Like, why do you want to put this tyrant in charge of WWE once again? Obviously, when Roman Reigns was doing his thing as their tribal chief, it might have been even worse than what Solo Sikoa is doing right now. And then that's a lot of fans that, there's a lot of wrestlers that you're going to see a locker room divided. And that's something that's going to be obviously, going to be, in terms of WWE creative and writing and, creative and stuff like that, it has to be handled very delicately because you can't make it seem like it's, which they've done really, really well, So there's no doubt in my mind they're going to make this storyline. It's going to be methodical. It's going to happen, week cliffhanger. And that's something that WWE has lacked for a long time, the lack of storytelling. So, I can't wait to find out what that whole thing. CM Punk, obviously, back into the mix. CM Punk is looking forward to WWE's Royal Rumble. He's looking forward to Elimination Chamber. He also has Paul Heyman's favor in his back pocket. So, CM Punk might as well basically be the number one contender. He might as well be the number one contender. He's going to main event WrestleMania. There's not really anybody or anything that can stop him. We're going to find out Sami Zayn and Jey Uso's thoughts towards Seth Rollins. Drew McIntyre is going to explain himself. We're going to find out what he has to say. Why did he attack Sami Zayn? Is he going up against Jey Uso, who he's, allegations that he did it. He attacked him. But we're going to find out. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods will speak after turning their back on Big E on WWE internal, on the internal roster on WWE.com. On the homepage, they have been deemed as heels for the first time in their careers for like 10 years. So it's like I said, WWE's got to do this right. You broke up a historic tag team. Obviously, these three dudes, they had no problem in, staying together, being together for the rest of their careers. So obviously, maybe Triple H saw something in Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. And he's like, you know what? These guys aren't done yet. I thought that the tag team division on Monday Night Raw would have been absolutely rejuvenated with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods smoothing things over, with Big E as their manager and becoming that, the world, tag team champions. But, it's a new era. It's a new day and age and era in terms of WWE. They don't want to see that same, tongue in cheek. They don't want to see that same baby face that kind of like, I don't want to say that PG-13 to appeal to little kids. You see the New Day walk out with like bright colors and it's like tossing pancakes. It's like, oh, New Day rocks. New Day rocks. Like maybe it's maybe that's like a foreshadow of how this new day and age with WWE Netflix is going to be handled. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more cutthroat. Maybe it's going to be a little dark. Maybe a little bit more ominous, edgier. Maybe a little violent, although, WWE President Nick Khan said that you're not going to, it's not going to be rated R, it's not going to be rated MA, it's not going to be like, blood and, anything like AEW, like, having Orange Cassidy chugging chemicals and stuff like that. We're not going to see that in WWE. Obviously, they want to stay advertiser friendly. They want to maximize their revenue and their profits. They want to make sure that they have their, they want to make sure they have their viewers, and it's not just viewers that are like, in that key demographic of, 18 to 41. It's that, like what John Cena did during his age in WWE. He appealed to so much of the little, not little, that sounds weird. So much of the younger audience that hustle, loyalty, and respect, that charge, that, he had the, like, he appealed to little kids. Kids absolutely adore John Cena. You've seen it in elementary schools. You've seen it in middle schools. People wearing WWE merchandise, mostly John Cena. I would say 95% John Cena. And, you bring up and you keep like, it's like you set up this new era of wrestling fans, just as much as you're trying to set up this new era of WWE product. And to kind of meet that product, it's classic economics 101. You have supply, you have demand. You need these two things to come together. You need them to coincide. You need them ultimately, to kind of balance out to have a successful organization. So there's no doubt in my mind that Monday Night Raw going to Netflix is going to be, super sick. Lastly, we got Finn Balor and Gunther build up. Will we see Damian Priest, kind of crash this party for, will we see a triple threat match at WWE Saturday Night's main event? Also, last thing, Ludwig Kaiser right now is basically immersing forcefully. He's immersing himself into the WWE Intercontinental Championship picture with Braun Breaker. Maybe we're going to see that match at WWE Saturday Night's main event. I would love to see it. I feel like both superstars are young. They're in their prime. They have so much to give, and they're ultimately entertaining to watch, especially when they have so much good chemistry in the ring together. All right, guys, so we do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into some WWE NXT Deadline review. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice-cold beverage, and join me here in about 20 seconds. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, we're back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumor dramas, and updates. We talk about superstar and active statuses, injury updates. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings from promotions like WWE to AEW to Ring of Honor to the GCW to TNA. For mixed major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show 1010%. So make sure you guys, Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show so you guys can get some notifications whenever we all decide to go live. All right, just going to reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Smackdown recap. We talked about some WWE Monday Night Raw, Easter eggs, maybe some sneak peeks, maybe a little bit of a preview. And now we're going to talk about some WWE NXT Deadline. All right, before we get into any of that, obviously, you guys make sure you guys hit up that tips and donations link. Make sure you guys hit up that super chat, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome, and it's going to be, bigger, better, and stronger than ever. All right, that's not the right thing. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm having a little bit of a... Hold on. Okay, yeah, that's not the right one. All right, so that's a... Sorry, excuse me. We are having technical difficulties. Okay, no, that's more for today. Okay, all right, yeah, that's not working. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into some, WWE NXT Deadline, which is really weird because, I put that on there. God, that's so weird. It's not working. Technology. Gotta love technology, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta love technology. All right, let's go ahead and start off with the first match. We got, we got the men's Iron Survivor match, which I knew it was going to be the first match. I kind of thought it was, relatively, it was appropriate. It was appropriate to kind of have this match, to kind of have that lingering, is Nathan Frazier at 100% for his tag team match with Axiom to defend those titles against the No Quarter Catch crew. So, maybe a little, pat myself on the back there. All right, we had the men's Iron Survivor match. We had Javon Evans start off with Wes Lee. Then you saw Frazier come out. And then, Ethan Page. Javon Evans, I got to be honest, I love Javon Evans. He's just a kid. He's just a kid in WWE right now. This is kind of his world. This is kind of like his opportunity to lose. And so far, he's been doing great. But during this match, especially with him and Wes Lee, I did not see the chemistry. I saw a lot of miscues. I saw a lot of missed spots. And for me, I was like, what? That's weird for Javon Evans. That, maybe it could be something. Maybe it could be something with Wes Lee, possibly. But, during the match, there was a couple of times where I was like, man, these guys aren't on the same page. They're going, there's an appropriate, in terms of professional wrestling, obviously entertainment, choreographed stage, whatever you guys like to call it. There's a specific speed that it's like, oh, okay, you kind of see it's a little, you kind of see it's a little wonky, but at the end of the day, it's still like good content. This was as slow as the 405 on rush hour in LA. That's like 3 or 4 hours in traffic just to travel like 10 miles. It's nuts. It was bad. A lot of times you saw Javon Evans going there, and he was it's like he was waiting for Wes Lee to kind of give him a sign. He was waiting for him to give him a signal of what the next move was going to be, and it didn't look good. It looked bad. It looked bad. Obviously, when the rest of the superstars kind of came in, it looked a lot. It looked better. Obviously, the fifth person, the final person who represented Eddie Thorpe's spot in the Iron Survivor match was Oba Femi. I wasn't a huge fan. For a matter of fact, I actually hated it. He picked up the first fall in 30 seconds. I didn't like it. I definitely liked how each men scored a fall. I definitely liked how that happened. Oba Femi being in the match. With Ethan Page, Nathan Frazier, Javon Evans, it's just, I felt like it screwed up the momentum. I did not like Oba Femi, such a huge heavyweight, a super heavyweight for that matter, coming into the fray. It's kind of like if you saw, the great Khali back in the day come into the Iron Survivor match. You're like, oh, okay, now this match is going to be, it's going to be slowed down. They're going to show how powerful this Oba Femi guy is. And I'm not trying to trash Oba. I like Oba Femi, and I think he's great. But, in this new era of WWE NXT, maybe you could have somebody else taking on Trick. Maybe you could have had someone who could have better chemistry with him. I just thought Oba coming into the match, it slowed the match down. It slowed the match down. You saw Wesley, Frazier, they were like, you were in like, so super fast, but then again, maybe you can make an argument that maybe it was good that they kind of had that, that pillar inside the ring to ultimately kind of dictate the momentum, kind of like the tempo of the match. But I don't know why. Am I, go ahead and let me know in the chat. Am I wrong to think Oba Femi being in this match absolutely screwed things up? But then, like I said, maybe that's just, maybe that's just my opinion. So we had, Ethan Page and Javon Evans starting off with 2 scores. They were kicking ass until the final 30 seconds where you saw a double choke slam by Oba Femi for that double pin to score 2 falls. Bam, he wins 3-2 to 2 to 1-1. And, like I said, we're going to have Trick Williams take on Oba Femi. I feel like Eddie Thorpe will get involved because Oba was obviously behind the attack. Oba, he's kind of a fan favorite. You had some fans cheering for him. And then, it's going to cause a nice little riff between Trick Williams and the fans because we're not too sure who they're going to charge, who they're going to root for. We're going to have Trick Williams that whooped that Trick. Or we're going to have Oba Femi, the ruler of NXT. Can this be a possible foreshadowing? Could this be a telling of, whoever loses this match? And Ava announced that this is going to happen in LA. I think it's the first episode of NXT. I'm not too sure. Whoever loses this match will wind up on the main roster, like on Raw and SmackDown, which I mean, it could be Oba. It could be Trick Williams. Oba Femi becoming the NXT World and Heavyweight Champion, you had you kind of had him hold that stronghold on the NXT North American Championship. But, the stronghold wasn't that bad because there were some times where he was going up against somebody like Wesley, like somebody like Javon Evans. Somebody, where it was possible that he could have damn near lost it. Maybe it could be getting to the point where WWE NXT is kind of looking at Trick Williams, kind of like, all right, I don't think there's anybody who can actually beat this guy because he's so over with the fans. He represents the brand pretty damn well. He has that Trick. He has the fans behind him. The locker room absolutely loves him. Is Trick Williams literally too perfect for NXT to the point where they're like, you know what, we gotta get rid of you, we gotta, it's not us, it's you, you kind of have to spread your wings and be something better, so, it's, I don't know why, but I hated that Oba Femi won. I gotta be honest, I did not like it. Alright, next we have the NXT Underground match. We got Jada Parker taking on Lola Vice. Anaconda Vice was actually being, utilized to help Lola pick up the victory here. Jada Parker tried to pull out that brick once again. She put Parker to sleep and got the dub. But, these underground matches, it's cool. It's, I get it. But, I don't know. I just, the underground matches, when you had the props kind of come out there, and I was like, why are people coming out here? They kind of look all the same. Obviously, on WWE Monday Night RAW, way back when, you saw Shane McMahon with the WWE Underground, where you saw people, beat the hell out of each other. And, kind of like a fight club. Obviously kind of implementing some MMA rules. You've seen Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler kind of go at it. You've seen Lola Vice taking on, not Lola Vice, you've seen Carmen Petrovich taking on Shayna Baszler. Lola Vice taking on Shayna Baszler as well. It's, I get why it's there, but at the same time, I kind of don't. But, NXT Underground's NXT Underground. All right, we have the NXT World Tag Team Championship. Nathan Frazier and Axiom successfully defend their titles against Tavion Heights and Miles Osborne. It was, it was decent. It was a good match. It was, I loved how Frazier and Axiom, they continue to seem like they are at odds with each other, but at the end of the day, when these guys were on the same page, they were absolutely unstoppable. Nathan Frazier was absolutely resilient. He was injured from the match, from the men's Iron Survivor match, and he was able to kind of pull it. He was able to kind of pull it out of his ass and kind of win the match there, help out his partner Axiom. And they did have that miscommunication where Axiom missile drop kicked Nathan Frazier out of the ring, where it seemed pretty dim, seemed pretty melancholy for the mood to seem like they were going to finally lose those tag team titles. And you know, it never happened. And I'm happy that it didn't. I think that it would be stupid to put Nathan Frazier and Axiom against each other. You know, kind of having Nathan Frazier go heel. According to a couple of wrestling reports, that's something that's bound to happen. And I just don't see it. I don't like it. I definitely didn't think it was right. And to be honest, I feel like the North Quarter Catch crew, they're not ready for titles yet. You know, I don't believe so. Like, and I know that I might get a lot of lashback, and I know that I might get a lot of scrutiny in saying this. Ever since you saw Drew Gulak kind of leave, he didn't leave the WWE. He wasn't fired. He, just wasn't extended because of something that may or may not have happened allegedly with Ronda Rousey. You know, without Drew Gulak being in that group, it's not the same. It really isn't the same. The No Quarter Catch crew, they don't have that same, that same Shazam. They don't have that same aura. They don't have those same vibes. Charlie Dempsey's not a ruler. He's not a ruler. And Osborne and Tavion Heights, if they weren't going to win this match, I don't think they're going to win any other NXT World Title match. And that's just me. Obviously, like I said, that's just my opinion. Right now was the perfect time for them to seize the moment and win, and it didn't happen. So, I'm happy Nathan Frazier and Axiom are still together. I'm happy they retained and still NXT World Tag Team title holders. Axiom and Nathan Frazier, congratulations. NXT World Championship match, not really much to say about this. Trick Williams was able to win. We all knew that was going to happen. Moving on. We have the last match. The Women's Iron Survivor match. Julia, Ren Sinclair, Sol Ruca, Zarya, Stephanie Vaquer. This match was good. Julia was able to pick up the first fall. You saw Sol Ruca hitting multiple soul snatchers out of nowhere. I definitely love that finishing move. We saw a stare down between Stephanie Vaquer and Julia, which I feel like WWE and NXT are constantly holding this away from us. They're holding Julia and Stephanie Vaquer going up against each other because when they first entered the WWE, due to the language barriers, Shawn Michaels was like, you know what, let's just kind of have them, tag team. Let's have them kind of get used to the ropes, get used to the cues, get used to those, get used to those, those nonverbals that professional wrestlers need to have, especially with language barriers. It's not like you can go up to someone and be like, all right, you're going to take a bump here. Be like, no, you're going to hip toss over here. Like, it's not the same thing because these people, you don't speak the common tongue. Which Shawn Michaels, he acknowledges and he respects, which he should. Stephanie Vaquer, obviously, Julia, and, Ren Sinclair was pinned 3 times. Kind of sad, but she was able to kind of pick up a pin when she came out of the penalty box with about 90 seconds left. That was pretty badass. Julia picked up the win. She's going to be the #1 contender for the NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez. Can't wait to find out what happens with that. Julia, congratulations. Hopefully, maybe second time's a charm here. All right, guys, so hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about WWE NXT call-ups confirmed. Grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 30 seconds. So hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Alright, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors, dramas, and updates. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about injury updates and active statuses of superstars. We talk about WWE, to AEW, to New Japan Professional Wrestling, to Stardom, to the GCW. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1010%. So make sure you Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show so you guys can get some cool notifications whenever we all decide to go live. All right, just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Smackdown review. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw sneak peek. We also talked about WWE NXT Deadline. And now we're going to talk about some WWE NXT call-ups confirmed for this transfer portal, for this new superstar shakeup. We're going to talk about it now. And I hope, since the last, the last thing didn't really pop up, hopefully this thing pops up well. All right, so WWE Transfer Portal has been announced on WWE Smackdown this past Friday night. A lot of people are super excited. I am so interested to see this new superstar shakeup that's going to usher in this new era of professional wrestling in 2025. A lot of people possibly think we can get a whole new draft. We can get an absolute WWE draft starting fresh, which is, I feel like it could be appropriate, but then again, Netflix is huge. It's a huge streaming conglomerate. I feel like a lot of WWE viewers, at least in my perspective, is going to look at, Cody Rhodes drafted in Monday Night Raw, maybe CM Punk, Roman Reigns, they're going to be like, all right. So now they're stacking up Monday Night Raw because it's Netflix? Why is that fair? Why is that cool? Why do people who refuse to, connect to a streaming service, or maybe people who refuse to, to get on YouTube TV or Sling or anything that, broadcasts the USA Network on Friday Night SmackDown? There's always going to be those haters. There's always going to be that outside perspective. There's always going to be somebody disagreeing with, what somebody's take. So the best thing to do, you have chemistry, you have storylines going on both of their respective brands. So the best thing to do is just to add a little bit of flavor. Add a little bit of new flavor. Take away, bring in some, and it's going to be, it's going to be brand new. It's going to be great. And I feel like right now you're going to see a lot of great talent come to Raw. You're going to see a lot of great talent come to SmackDown. And for me, I don't know why. Maybe this might be my own personal opinion. I don't think anybody should touch NXT. I'm sorry. I feel like right now with their, with the men, oh my God, especially with the women. With the women, it's absolutely, it's great. It's great. The NXT women's division is literally the best women's wrestling in the history of professional wrestling. It's that damn good. And you have an amazing champion like Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez is literally, guys, she's running the gauntlet. You have WWE signing all these national wrestling stars like Jordynne Grace, like Zarya, like Stephanie Vaquer, like Julia, and they're pushing her toward Roxanne Perez, and Roxanne Perez is like, oh, okay, cool, thank you for just doing this for me, yay, but it sucks, but that just proves why she's probably one of the best, if not the best, women's wrestler in the whole entire nation right now. And, it sucks for Roxanne, but then again, it's very good. She's 23 years old, so this is a great way for, hey, dude, honestly, if it doesn't work out in WWE, this whole slate that you're going through right now is going to stay on your record for the rest of your career. So maybe you could perhaps kind of ink new contracts. Maybe you can leverage and kind of manipulate new contracts with you, whether they got an agent or not. Roxanne Perez could possibly be like the new Mercedes Moné of professional wrestling. Maybe she can, be that, that Monet. Just kidding. But, she's going to get a lot of money. She's going to get a lot of money because, literally, she's the future of WWE. That's something that Triple H and Shawn Michaels obviously agree on. That's something that I agree on. And I've been watching wrestling my whole entire life, through the Attitude Era, through the Ruthless Aggression Era. I've seen it all. And Roxanne Perez definitely is something to be taken serious. She's going to be literally a WWE Women's Champion. She's going to be a WWE Hall of Famer, no doubt. So without further ado, let's talk about some of these NXT call-ups. Monday Night Raw on Netflix, Ethan Page. Ethan Page is going to WWE Monday Night Raw. Right there. Flat out, I'm going to call it. After NXT Deadline, you kind of had him, with an interview backstage, and he feels like, he's kind of accomplished everything in NXT already, and he's been on the roster for 6 short months. He was immersed into the World Heavyweight title picture immediately, and he won the title, and he represented the title as a heel pretty damn well. And Honestly, Oba Femi winning that, Iron Survivor match kind of cemented that Ethan Page is probably going to find himself on WWE Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. That's how powerful, the Oba Femi thing could possibly be. Maybe then you're going to see Wes Lee kind of come at it. And then maybe, you're going to see Javon Evans. But you have Ethan Page, he's tried a couple of times. He's great. He would be an amazing, absolutely stellar WWE United States champion or an Intercontinental champion. Obviously, he would eventually work his way up to becoming someone like, Cody Rhodes or somebody like Gunther. They're waiting for that new flavor. Maybe somehow, some way, Gunther finds himself on SmackDown where Ethan Page wins the World Heavyweight Championship and then he represents the brand there. For me, I was like, you know what? Why not put it on Finn Balor? Have Gunther start fresh on SmackDown? Because right now, this Gunther character, he puts on great matches. And honestly, if I had to put the belt on anybody on the Monday Night Raw roster, it would probably be Gunther. But right now, he just doesn't. Maybe because we've already kind of seen him with this long 666-day reign as the Intercontinental Champion. And I know the World Heavyweight Champion, championship is different, obviously, prestige. But, I feel like it's just been one big title reign. And I know I probably won't make sense. And I know that you guys are probably looking at me kind of be like, Eric, have you really been a wrestling fan since you were 5 years old? Yes. I don't know why. I feel like the whole reign has been just this long, it's this whole line. But, I feel like it needs a new flavor. Either Gunther is, terrorizing the Intercontinental Championship, the mid-card picture, or he's terrorizing the main event card. But on WWE Monday Night Raw, you don't really have any main eventers. I'm sorry. Gunther's probably the next best thing. That's why when John Cena comes back for his retirement tour, it's gonna be cool. It wouldn't surprise me if you see Randy Orton find his way onto WWE. Honestly, it wouldn't damn surprise me if you see Gunther and Cody Rhodes just basically swap. Cody Rhodes comes to Monday Night Raw, which he's done with the Bloodline. I don't think we're going to see Cody versus Roman Reigns Part 3 for at least another year or a year and a half. We're not going to get that final thing because through established storylines, you have about 4.5 months to build up if Roman Reigns wants to, take on Cody Rhodes and run. At this point, it doesn't seem like it's gelling. Doesn't really seem like it makes sense. Right now, Roman Reigns is going to, when I think Roman Reigns, obviously, in my opinion, when I think Roman Reigns, I think about him taking on Solo Sikoa for the Uno Fala. Also, when The Rock comes back, you kind of have him and Roman Reigns airing out their dirty laundry in the family to kind of take on right there. Like I said, I'm not, I anticipate seeing Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes WrestleMania 3 probably in maybe 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years, maybe. No, not 5. Not 4. 3's pushing it. 2 years seems ideal. 1 year seems absolutely forced. We're not going to see Cody Rhodes take on Roman Reigns anytime soon. Nathan Frazier and Axiom, these guys could definitely be called up to the WWE Monday Night Raw, main roster. I feel like it's great for them. I feel like both of them are absolutely electric. Monday Night Raw, the tag team division, it's stale. It's I don't like it. Same could go with, obviously provided since Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin showed up, the Motor City Machine Guns. They kind of rejuvenated that tag team division on SmackDown. But Monday Night Raw needs something different. JD McDonough and Finn Balor being the champions, they're that heel champion. So, have them be that heel champion. But the War Raiders, it's all right. Who else besides the War Raiders? It's nuts. This new day and age of the New Day. Well, not the New Day. We're going to get Woods and not Xavier Woods. We're going to get Woods and Kingston, with this brand new persona. We're going to find out with them. We have the LWO. Obviously, it's, I don't know, it seems a little dry. Would be awesome to see them on WWE Monday Night Raw. Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson metaphor. Lash Legend speaks within herself. She's definitely one of the most impressive women I've seen on WWE, not just NXT, SmackDown, or Raw. Just in all of professional wrestling. This girl is special. She has the strength. She has the momentum. She has the fan. She has the name, image, likeness. Jakara Jackson, obviously, as her right-hand woman, Metaphor could definitely make it here. Like, and then you have Noam Dar, all them Noam Dar, ever since 205 kind of dipped out, when he came to the main roster, didn't really seem like he fit. We have Oro Mensah that could possibly, make, they could pay dividends. But, I would love to see Jakar Jackson and Last Legend. The No Quarter Catch crew. The No Quarter Catch crew coming to, like, somewhere like SmackDown would be badass. Like, you have one more tag team to kind of enter that division, especially with the injury of Tonga Loa. We're not going to see Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa tag team to try to compete for those tag team titles anymore. At this point, like, I know you're thinking, like, oh, why not just put Jacob with Tama Tonga? Like, no, Jacob can't do that. Of course, maybe WWE might push it, but Jacob is destined for more than that. He's better than that. And, I'm not trying to sound stubborn. I'm just trying to say, like, as a wrestling fan, if you see somebody like with the likes of Jacob Fatu come into the tag team division, the team with Tama Tonga, I think it'll ruin the tag team division. And so that's why I feel like it'd be great to kind of bring the No Quarter Catch crew. Chase U, when Ridge Holland challenged Mr. Andre Chase for basically Chase U, he said Chase U would have to disband on NXT. He said on NXT, and then when you had that promo with Andre Chase packing up all this stuff, and then you saw it, and then you heard a voice, it's like, hey, Mr. Chase, like, maybe perhaps that could be Nick Aldis, maybe perhaps that could be Adam Pearce reaching out to him and be like, you know what? On Raw, on SmackDown, you guys don't have to disband. You guys don't have to do this. Would love to see myself some Thea Hale on SmackDown or Raw. Riley Osborne, and of course the MVP, Duke Hudson. Would love to see these guys back together. I don't think JSU could ever prosper on their own. And I'm not trying to sound mean, but I feel like they belong together. We belong together. Anyways, Gallus of NXT. Maybe they find themselves into this new badass, relentless, cutthroat faction with the returning Drew McIntyre. This is something that, obviously a lot of WWE fans have been playing with. Gallus, former NXT Tag Team Champions. These guys literally, Coffee, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Been being under the radar for quite some time on WWE since he paid such dividends when he returned, and then he kind of fizzled out. So maybe he can get some newer opportunities on WWE NXT. Who knows? Oba Femi, like I said, whoever wins out of the match between Trick Williams and Oba Femi will obviously stay on NXT. Whoever loses could possibly find themselves on Raw or SmackDown. When Roxanne Perez, if and only if she drops the belt, obviously they're giving Julia a second stint. They're giving her a second chance at the WWE NXT Women's World Heavyweight Championship for a reason. Maybe we could see WWE, like Triple H Paulovec said, like WWE President Nick Khan said, maybe we could see WWE going more international. Putting the belt on Julia seems great. And then, that explains the reason why they have been holding Stephanie Vaquer going up against Julia in a battle for quite some time. And of course, with Roxanne Perez is Cora Jade. Notice that I did not take more than 3 women's superstars from NXT because this NXT women's division is so great. It's to the point where literally I feel like the women's division, you can't touch it. I feel like you cannot touch the NXT women's division. And if you do, you have the possibility of screwing things up. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, guys, so we do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our 5th and final segment. We got Rey Fenix of AEW talking about some unjust treatment, talking about how AEW's Tony Khan treated him inhumanely in terms of medical issues. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. So, hey, do not go anywhere. right back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage, curtain calls, rumor, drama, and updates. We talk about, inactive statuses, injuries. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions like WWE to AEW, to the GCW, to the New Japan Professional Wrestling, to Stardom, to the NWA. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show 1010%. So make sure you guys, go ahead and Superman punch that, like and subscribe button to the show so you guys can get notifications whenever we decide to go live. So you guys can, be part of an awesome wrestling podcast and definitely send your guys' messages and stuff like that. All right, just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Smackdown review. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw sneak peek. And we also talked about WWE NXT Deadline. And then we recently talked about NXT call-ups. During this whole new transfer portal, I still can't even say it without kind of smiling. Because, reminds me of college football. Which is cool. I get it. But I don't know. I don't know. But then again, I'm not a huge college football kind of guy. So, yeah. All right, guys. We got Rey Fenix, former AEW superstar. Well, not former because he's technically, contractually obligated. We're going to talk about Rey Fenix, talking about his unjust treatment happening in AEW. So, we can't wait to get into that. Obviously, hit up that tips and donations link. We can talk about, basically anything any questions you guys have to say about anything about that. So, obviously, I fell victim to the propaganda that was, reports over the summer, people saying that the Lucha Brothers were going to set foot in WWE and it was going to happen. You saw Penta Zero de Miedo and his brother Rey Fenix, possibly join in WWE, but Phoenix's contract actually, it's not going to end. It's not going to end due to extended time because of injury. There was, basically, I don't know how to explain this. It's extra time. It's extra time. In soccer, whenever somebody gets hurt and they're on the ground and they're like, oh, okay. And then, when you get to that 90-minute mark and you're like, okay, that's the end of the game. It's like, oh, no, we have extra time for all those extra injury time and stuff like that. So that's exactly what's happening here. Rey Fenix, he signed a contract with AEW. He was injured during that time, and once when his contract went up, he was like, okay, me and my brother are going to sign with WWE. But Tony Khan was like, hey, dude, guess what? No, you were injured. You owe us, X, Y, and Z. You owe us all this time that you didn't necessarily get to fulfill because, your ass was injured. So at the same time, although it might seem like in terms of Tony Khan, it seems like it might be, as a business owner, you can be like, oh, okay, you know what, I can see that. But then, from Rey Fenix's perspective, he's like, contract is up, it's up. If it doesn't say in fine print in the contract that I don't necessarily have to perform any duties that I may or may not want to, participate in due to, injury obligations, due to, perhaps, maybe he was, injured half the time in terms of, usually people just like, what, we're just going to let you go. We're just going to let you go. This is not going to happen. But in terms of AEW, that's the reason why the news is still a little kind of a little wonky in terms of wrestling fans. Is they're like, what? Not a lot of people kind of want to hold that stronghold within an injured superstar unless, like the Lucha Brothers got massive, absolutely massive public attention due to the fact that they were going to sign with WWE. So then now it seems like, Tony Khan wanted to stop the Lucha Brothers from, competing elsewhere, basically, to kind of be a little petty here. There's been absolutely no intentions of using Rey Fenix on the AEW roster. Rey Fenix even tweeted, and I quote, "I will have my chance to speak the truth." He also said, "No one stays in a place where they received inhumane treatment." That's inhumane. He used the word inhumane. That's absolutely That's that's crazy. That's crazy. And honestly, this is something that AEW obviously, recently they did it with Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is literally, he's within the same situation as Rey Fenix. How he's not necessarily being allowed to pursue outside wrestling endeavors, obviously, besides independent wrestling. Obviously, we're going to have there's a meet and greet with the House of Glory that's happening where you will see Rey Fenix, and then later on in a couple of months, you will see Ricky Starks. Dr. Chris Featherstone, he tweeted and he said, I received info from AEW source in November 20th regarding the Lucha Brothers status, but did not report it as I was waiting for one of them, which is the Lucha Brothers, to begin speaking their mind about the situation. So I think the doctor basically knew that, this seemed kind of wonky. This seemed kind of messed up. And with this new day and age of social media where anybody, everybody has a voice. Everybody has a voice. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. But then again, it could be a bad thing. But in this case, it's actually a good thing. Obviously, Rey Fenix wants to protect professional wrestlers. Ultimately, he wants to protect the culture. He wants to protect the integrity of what Lucha Libre ultimately represents. You got Penta right now wrestling in Lucha Libre AAA. So maybe he wants to kind of find himself in that kind of, category, perhaps. Tony Khan is partners with the CMLL. So, right now, Tony Khan, in terms of independent wrestling circuit, seems like they're kind of on their own. So the only logical reasoning, if you have Rey Fenix trashing AEW online and on social media platforms, the only place that it feels like he only really has to go is WWE. And if they sign with the WWE, NIL next in line, if they sell, with the ID program, independent wrestling circuit, this is something that Rey Fenix could definitely do really, really good. Also, his brother, this is something that could definitely be, this could be something that's pretty badass. They said, who's this? The Dr. Chris Featherstone also added, he said, and I quote, the alleged excuse that Tony Khan found out about the Lucha Brothers and talks with WWE is quote unquote fake news, and the real reason will be revealed. So I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but with all this kind of lingering hate, you can expect this to look absolutely. It's going to look ugly. It's going to look really, really ugly once Rey Fenix is completely out of AEW. He's going to speak his mind. You can expect it to get absolutely ugly. Right now, Tony Khan needs to do absolutely everything in his power in terms of PR to kind of fix this. You need to fix this. If anybody, I'm not saying that the Lucha Brothers were absolutely drop your pen on the floor, badass. But they are special. They are special. They were great inside the ring. They're absolutely phenomenal athletes. And Triple H, if you pick these guys up, and if they're going to constantly bag on how bad really AEW is behind the scenes, this could be really, really bad for your deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, streaming simultaneously with TBS, TNT on Dynamite, on HBO Max. This is something that's not going to be taken lightly. And Rey Fenix also tweeted, I needed a doctor and you ignored me for months. This could also proceed in legal actions. This is also, you can also sue him for a lot of money. This is something, you're going to have negative publicity. HBO could literally, Warner Brothers Discovery could literally pull out of the deal. They could pull out of the deal. They could be like, okay, you know what? I don't care. I don't care about the contracts that we signed. We have so much money to the point where we don't, we can sign checks to basically be like, we don't owe you jack squat. And, it's okay. But AEW will definitely take a huge dive. And it's not like you have any top AEW stars right now to kind of fix it. You don't have, you don't really have the EVPs anymore. You don't have Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. I honestly feel like, they hated the storyline with the whole EVP thing with Okada, with Jack Perry behind the scenes. They admitted that. They really didn't like it. Maybe they're starting to, be like, okay, we're going to go to Wrestle Dynasty and fight for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. Hey, guess what? If we win over here, we're going to compete over here and you guys have to figure something out. Sorry. And then you had, you had, Kenny Omega also getting injured and, kind of stating that, hey, I might not be able to make it AEW. Bryan Danielson having neck surgery, saying that, hey, I might honestly never wrestle again. You had Cody Rhodes leave. You had CM Punk leave. Literally, who do you have? Are you literally going to put your company on the back of the patriarchy's leader, Christian Cage? Like, I love Christian Cage and he's cool and all. But, and right now you kind of have this whole thing with the Death Riders, with Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, Jon Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta, and Marino Shafir. It's just, it's a lot. It's kind of putting a lot on the AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. Kind of reminds me of the pressure that Shawn Michaels had during the WWE/WCW Monday Night Wars. But in this case, I don't think AEW can recover from this, especially with all these legal obligations and stuff like that. This is obviously, this was the huge reason why CM Punk left WWE to begin with. And he left professional wrestling for about 10 solid years. But right now, Tony Khan needs to find a way to fix this. Damage control. That's what PR is all about, damage control. Fix it. Let's fix it so there's no further legal actions that could definitely decimate your wrestling promotion for years to come. You've done such a good job. You've been in existence for about, 5+ years. Don't let it go down the drain because some negative publicity. Try to find a way to fix it. I would let him out of his contract. Absolutely free of charge, because right now he's kind of just sitting, twiddling his thumbs because, allegedly Tony Khan doesn't want him to sign with anybody else, anywhere else in, WWE and stuff like that. So, no, you can expect it to kind of get ugly if Tony Khan doesn't handle the situation pretty damn well. So this, once again, Rey Fenix, super impressive. Does this, on Rey Fenix's side, does this create some red flags for maybe a potential WWE signing? Maybe some people might see him as like a social media troll. Who knows? Maybe something was done in the contract. Maybe he had a promise behind, closed doors with Tony Khan that we have not yet received yet. We don't know. And then he takes to social media whenever he's complaining. Come on, we've seen that with sports before. Obviously, with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, you've seen him change. He unfollowed the Arizona Cardinals. He took down every picture of himself in a Cardinals uniform. How dare you? And then now, ever since then, he's been kind of playing like crap. He's not the same guy. Kevin Durant with the Phoenix Suns. He wanted, Steve Nash? I think it was Brooklyn Nets. He wanted Steve Nash fired. He even wanted the GM gone. They were like, yeah, dude, we're not going to do that, dude. You're just a player, getting to, his 30s and stuff like that. I'm not saying Kevin Durant isn't a great guy, but then you unfollow them on social media. You send tweets that's like, man, I'm fitting to get out of here, dog. You send tweets like that, and it's just dude, you don't want to build a team around people like that. You don't want to build a company around people like that. Because, sometimes they might have their own head up their own arses. You don't really know what to do. No matter how much money you give them, no matter how much leeway they get, it's not like they take it with oh, hey, cool, hey, thank you. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. For them, they'll get used to that treatment. They'll get used to that. They'll do anything if I do X, Y, and Z. If I go on social media, dog, I can get whatever I want. You don't want a superstar like that. And that's something that Triple H could positively, doesn't want to get involved in. Does this negatively seal Rey Fenix's future within professional wrestling, perhaps maybe even basically terminating any kind of chance you have signing with the WWE? This could be that. This could definitely be that way. With, obviously, kind of have to look on both sides of the coin here. Rey Fenix trashed AEW on social media and Tony Khan. And he's going to be sitting for a while. Will Triple H finally, will he see through the controversy? Are the Lucha Brothers worth that damn much to be like, you know what? All the BS, put it all to the side. We're going to sign these guys because they're absolutely gifted superstars. No one's taking that away from them. Nobody is taking that away from them. It's just the fact that, sometimes sports athletes, sometimes, you get it. You have your prima donnas like, kind of like Stephon Diggs, kind of like Kevin Durant. You have these prima donna superstars that are, they feel like they can do whatever they want because they have all the talent in the world, because they can do this and that and the other, but they're still not winning championships. So, it's sports. It's sports. All right, guys, so thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're here to talk about professional wrestling. So make sure you guys, like, subscribe, Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow us on Twitter /X, however you guys like to call it. Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got football. The college football playoffs are about to kick off. Make sure you guys get all your know-how, all your hidden facts that you might not know about your favorite team on the GSMC College Football Podcast with my boy Tommy. We got the NFL. The NFL is heating up as well. We got 4 more weeks. Damn, it's already 4 more weeks until the playoffs of the NFL. We got the GSMC Football Podcast with Kenneth, probably the best football commentator, and next to him is probably the one of the most resilient, one of the most charismatic football analyst that I've analysis. Oh, that sounds interesting. One of the best football analysts. We got Manny with the Chip Shot Football Podcast, and in terms of talking, it's almost football season's almost over. You got your fantasy football teams. If you want to make your fantasy football team a WWE champion, tune in to Chris Shepard's GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast to find out your stardoms, find out your sit-ems, find out who to pick off the waiver wire. Find out who is going to help you win your championship. Also, we have Nelson with the GSMC Sports Podcast. We got Sports by GSMC with my boy Jeremy Lapidus. So make sure you tune in to all these amazing podcasts. We got my boy Amron about to pop off right now with the GSMC Deadball Podcast. One of my favorite podcasts from this network. This guy has all the know-how. This guy is very, he has all the hot takes. He's brings a lot of flavor, brings a lot of sizzle to that steak. So make sure you don't miss that. Make sure you don't miss that show. Well, guys, thank you so much. Guys, hope you guys had an amazing, beautiful, blessed weekend. Stay beautiful, but most importantly, love you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.